Good evening, Messiah, and welcome back to another edition of Falcon Update, live on YBTV. I'm Nate Harlacker.
And I'm Riley Williams. It has been a year since the microfarm was introduced at Lottie Nelson Dining Hall. PJ Rydell is joining us live to give us an update on what happened with the farm.
Thanks, Riley and Nate. You're exactly right. It's been a year since the microfarm, was introduced here at Lottie Nelson Dining Hall, providing a hydroponic system for growing our own produce right here at Messiah in a much more manageable and sustainable way. So sustainable, in fact, that the 2022 stats were released last week, and it was reported that the microfarm saved Messiah and the environment over 18,000 gallons of water compared to traditional farming. And for a little bit more on that, I talked to Mark Wirtz this past week. Here's the 2022 in review of the microfarm. Last year, Dining Services added the Babylon Microfarm to Lottie Nelson Dining Hall. Director of Dining Services Mark Wirtz believes that the farm's benefit to campus is twofold.
It just kind of felt like a win-win for us to not only have the visual effect of it, but also the produce coming out of it and additional savings in some of those sustainable efforts.
The 2022 statistics released last week demonstrate the farm's impact on campus, but for Wirtz, the farm's ability to engage students in learning is just as important.
I think a lot of students have taken interest in the actual farm and the hydroponic process that they may not have been aware of in the past.
After the farm's first year of operation at Messiah, Wirtz has learned a lot about what it takes to keep up with a hydroponic farm like the one in Lottie.
Really, it's a lot more sanitation and cleaning than I thought it was going to be. So every time you pull the trays, they have to actually be washed, rinsed, and sanitized by hand rather than putting through a dish machine or something like that. So there's a little more time and effort into maintaining and running the farm than what I initially thought there would be.
Going into the new year, Wirtz has some goals to build on in 2023.
What I would like to do moving forward is do a little bit better job of featuring some menu items that the chefs can put together and do them right in front of the students and harvest and prepare and serve right at the farm, so it brings a little bit more awareness to it.
Who's to say what the year 2023 is going to bring for the microfarm, but Mark Wirtz and Dining Services certainly have some big goals to shoot for in the upcoming year. At Lottie Nelson Dining Hall, I'm PJ Rydell for YBTV.
Thanks, PJ. With the spring 2023 semester starting up, the Student Activities Board is back, holding various events for Messiah students to take part in. Let's take a look.
Museum Poker to big stage performances, this is Messiah's SAB Recap. Starting last week off with Tuesday, SAB hosted their first night of Chips and Dips. Featuring the Oaks Museum's wildlife as its backdrop, the event provided for a fun, lighthearted environment for students to play poker while enjoying a fine assortment of dip-related foods.
So I was trying to come up with an event that we hadn't done before at Messiah, at least in recent history, and that would hopefully appeal to the lads on campus, because I think a lot of our different events, such as our craft nights, are super popular, but they're typically geared more towards the female demographic, and so I was trying to think of something that was more laid back, that the guys can really enjoy on a Tuesday night.
While this is one of the smaller scale events that the SAB has run, it still demonstrates a desire from them to provide a diverse array of activities for everyone on campus to enjoy. Saturday night saw the polar opposite of a laid-back poker night. The 50s sock hop dance was held at the Union, seeing dozens of students dancing to throwbacks in the middle of the Union floor. Along with the music, there was a photo booth and catering for dancers and passerbyers alike. While it wasn't as highly advertised as SAB's Snowball in December, participants of the niche genre of music and dance were everywhere. With that being said, that wraps up last week's SAB Recap. For YBTV, I'm Sean Hopkins.
The Union Cafe has recently started opening at 4 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays, while they were previously opening at 11 on the weekends. This change comes from a lack of staff, specifically student workers. The cafe is currently operating with only 58% of their desired workforce. However, with enough hands, the possibility of an earlier opening on the weekends is not out of the question.
We would love to have more workers at the Union. We are only at 58% staffed, so we have a lot of open positions at the Union. So we would love to have more students apply to come and work and join us. If we were able to get at 100% fully staffed, then we would consider opening. But right now we're only at 58%, so that makes it a little difficult to have it open.
Interested in working at the union can apply at jobs.messiah.edu.
Acoustic vibes set the mood for a relaxing Sunday evening right before a long week's work.
Applications for student body president and vice president for the 2023-2024 academic year are officially open. Candidates must apply in pairs with their running mates. Applications are due February 12th to the Student Government Association. Students interested also need to submit a resume and a signature sheet with at least 200 physical signatures per pair. A full list of the responsibilities of those positions can be found in the SGA Governance Manual, which is available online.
Up next, we have Falcon Forecast, The Vault, an inside to a Messiah rapper, and more.
We'll be right back with more on Falcon Update live on YBTV.
A student would want to study the finance major here at Messiah for several reasons. Students here are working and practicing in a setting in our finance lab with technology that they're going to use when they leave here and work in the field. And so our students are certified in Bloomberg. In addition, in several classes, our students are actually performing consulting projects with local financial and investing firms.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me about coming for the finance major here was just the scope that you get in all the different classes. So anything from corporate finance to portfolio management, security analysis, you touch on everything. Getting into investment club was something I really was looking forward to coming here to Messiah. I knew from very early on I wanted to get involved.
There's nothing wrong with going out, being successful, making money, but not allowing money to have a higher place in your life than God. So our goal is to get our students started off on their career path quicker and better positioned than any of their peers.
Welcome back to Falcon Update. My guy, Josh McLeaf, delivers this week's Falcon Forecast. Josh?
Nathan, my man, it's always a pleasure to see you behind the desk today as well. I'll tell you what else is a pleasure. This past weekend, I mean, Saturday was a beautiful day. The sun was out. We had a high in the 50s. Yesterday, we were in the upper 40s. Today, we had a high at 55 as well. So definitely above average and pretty comfortable temperatures for this time of year. If we take a look at the temperature right now, we're sitting at about 48 degrees on the campus of Messiah University. Again, pretty warm. This has been one of our warmer Januaries in Pennsylvania. But as we move into February, we will see significant temperature drop as we move throughout the week. So as you can see, we're going to move into a low of 35 overnight as we move into Tuesday morning. But then take a look at these temperatures for the upcoming week. We have a high of 39 tomorrow with a low of 27, so dropping below freezing for our lows. And Wednesday, very similar temperatures. Thursday, we do warm up a bit with a high of 45 and a low of 26. But if you look at Friday, we're not even making it above freezing. Our high of 29, our low of 8. We're dropping down into the single digits. Doesn't that just stink compared to this nice weather that we had this past weekend? Here's the important thing, though. We're not going to see any systems or storms move in over these next couple of days to bring us any snow or freezing rain. Really, it's just going to be cold, so that is nice. But if you look at the weekend, we do see more cold below freezing. Saturday, our high of 26 and our low of 21. So a little bit better than Friday, but still pretty chilly. And then Sunday right now, it looks like there might be a chance of some rain throughout the early afternoon or late morning. When, how much exactly, because it's so far out, that could change. There's not really a clear answer to that right now, but kind of something to keep in mind as you plan out for next weekend. But it is a little bit warmer, so that's nice with a high of 45 and a low of 30. So Riley, Nathan, right now, the main story is just bundle up and keep warm as we start February, because it's not going to be very snowy, but it'll certainly be cold. I'm Josh McLeese sending it back to the desk.
Josh, it's great to have you back on Falcon Forecast this semester. You delivered as always. And I must say, I said it last week, the weather would be funky, and it sure has been funky. What do you think?
It sure has. I don't know about you, but 8 degrees is just way too low for me. If the temperature is not high enough digits that it can be our parents' age, I don't want it.
Fair enough.
Kelly Gainey is digging up more Messiah history on the vault. Kelly?
Did you know that the red covered bridge here by the Yellow Breeches is not original to Messiah's campus? Built in 1867 by a nearby town called Bowmansdale, the Bowmansdale covered bridge was donated by Mr. and Mrs. Jacob S. Stoner in 1971. It was brought here and helped reassembled by students on campus. In the summer of 2011, the college gave it an $170,000 facelift, partnering with Fitzgerald Heavy Timber and Company. The restoration primarily involved replacing wood siding and cedar shingles. The workers used a Western red cedar repair and the roof with a solvent-free paint and siding. The restoration is to help keep the bridge for another 50 years. The bridge also has a romantic side to its story, being a place where students would pop the question used for wedding photos or graduation photos. And when graduating, they will come across the bridge and march to Starry Athletic Field, which has made the bridge both an integral and historic part of Messiah's campus. At one point in time, Pennsylvania used to be home to over 1,500 of these kinds of bridges. Now, there's only about 200 left. What we have here on Messiah's campus is a real hidden gem. That's all for this week. Make sure to tune in next week for What I Unlock the Vault.
There are many different opportunities on campus for students to get involved with athletics and playing sports. One of the ways students can get involved is with intramural sports. Here's James Hellman with this week's Bird's Eye View.
For YBTV, I'm James Hellman here in Sawyer Gymnasium, where we're going to be taking a look at Messiah's Intramural Sports League on this week's Bird's Eye View as I take part in a 5v5 basketball game.
Intramural sports is the third tier of sports at Messiah, following the Division III teams and club sports. Intramural allows those who didn't want to or couldn't play sports at the collegiate level to continue in a less serious environment.
So as you can see right now, the game just started. I'm on the bench. This is actually where I'm going to help the team the most because when I'm not on the floor, I can't make any mistakes, so it's called productivity.
Once I did get into the action of the game, I made sure to make a fool of myself and miss every shot I took. However, the beauty of intramural sports is that anyone can play and have a good time.
I think the nature of intramural as a whole is one, we always want to make it fun, but there's also that competitive side as well. I would say intramural is designed to be competitive for that competitive athlete who maybe not be playing at the collegiate level but played in high school.
For a lot of athletes, it's that competitive nature that makes intramural sports feel unique.
Everybody plays really hard. It's much different than just like pickup basketball. The teams we played yesterday ran actual plays, and it's a lot more competitive than people think.
The blend of having fun while still being competitive in nature is what makes intramural sports feel different. My team ended up losing, but I finally hit a shot and had a lot of fun getting to play intramural sports. For YBTV, I'm James Hellman.
Nate, would you rather have a 50-minute 8 a.m. or a 3-hour night class?
You know, that is a very good question, and I'm going to have to go with the 8 a.m. solely because I like to have my nights to do whatever I want. What about you?
See, I'm a big fan of getting enough sleep, so I would take sleeping in any day. Jessica Fannin asks students which one they would prefer. Jess?
Hi, welcome back to this week's episode of Falcon on the Street. This week, we're asking students would they prefer a 50-minute 8 a.m. or a night class. Let's go find out. Hi, would you prefer a 50-minute 8 a.m. or a night class?
Oh, that's a good question. I think night class, but I think it depends on the kind of night class. You know, if you have a good night class where like you're doing hands-on stuff like TV production or something like that, I think that makes it a lot easier to do and comprehend and handle. But 8 a.m. is just too early. It's almost sinful, I think. It's disgusting. So night class, I think, yeah.
I agree. Hi, do you prefer an 8 a.m. or a night class?
I prefer a night class. I like walking around towards classes in the night. I like the aesthetic of it, the look. I like the feel of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, do you prefer an 8 a.m. or a night class?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think all things considered, probably 8 a.m. Night class is a bigger chunk of my life that I just can't get back, so 8 a.m.
Hi, would you prefer an 8 a.m. or a night class?
I would prefer an 8 a.m. class. I actually dropped my night class that I had on Wednesday, 6 to 9, and swapped it with an 8 a.m.
So as you can see, plenty of students have different opinions on their class times. I personally prefer a night class. For YBTV.
Messiah students are very unique and are talented in many different ways. Reed Milliken sits down with an aspiring rapper, Jeremy Lamb. Reed.
Snoop Dogg, Eminem, The Notorious B.I.G., Tyler, the Creator, Tekashi 6ix9ine, and now Messiah's own Jamverse. Staten Island born and raised, Jeremy Lamb has amassed over 2,200 streams on Spotify across only 2 singles and shows no signs of stopping.
I've been rapping since probably my junior year in high school. I kind of started taking this more seriously in 2022 when I started just writing some lyrics and performing them for some of my college friends. Before, it just started off as a hobby, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe I could turn this and maybe drop a couple songs later that year. So usually I have many ideas of what kind of story I want to tell, or what part of my life I want to show, or stuff like that. So I usually go on YouTube and just find different producers, or go on Twitter, and then you know what, I could work with this, and then just start writing to it. It usually comes to my mind. Some faster than others, like Leave You, for example. Just I wrote that in one day, but rap took a couple months.
The works of Jamverse are a collaboratory effort between Jeremy and his producer, Tyler Caruso.
My name is Tyler Caruso, and I am Jeremy's sound engineer. I'm responsible for all the mixing and mastering for his music. I had some experience mixing sound and mixing vocals. I self-taught myself about 2 years ago now, and I'm constantly improving on that. And Jeremy just got into rapping recently, and he was like, hey, I know you have knowledge of this, so I sort of just filled in that spot for him. My job is just recording his vocals, doing all the punch-ins and everything like that, and then mixing and mastering his vocals.
Be sure to check out Jamverse streaming now on all music platforms. For YBTV, I'm Reed Milliken.
Messiah has a bunch of exciting events coming up this week. Danny Johnson brings you this week's campus calendar.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to this week's edition of Campus Calendar. I'm Danny Johnson. We have so many fun events going on this week. Let's take a look. If you missed checking out the Travis Donovan display last month, don't worry, there is a new display to observe. In the Augenball Art Gallery from now until March 3rd, the Florence portfolio will be displayed. It is free and open to the public, so don't miss out on this beautiful display. Are you feeling artsy and also love history? Well, then listen closely. The Human Rights Awareness Ministry is hosting a collage night in Boyer 322 on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss out on talking about the current protests in Iran and creating your very own collage. Plus, free refreshments are provided. Do you all remember when Rita attended a dance class back in the fall? Well, it was definitely one for the books. Every Wednesday, the Swing Dance Club is teaching lessons from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. It is free to join, but make sure to sign up when receiving the email every Monday. Make sure to say hi to Reed when you go. Have you ever seen those really cool tiny houses on TV and wondered how people actually make a home out of it? Well, one of our Messiah staff, Lynn Taylor, is going to be showing us her DIY lodging van that she takes with her to travel. Join us in the Library Athenaeum from 12 to 1 p.m. on Thursday. I know this is a lot to take in as this week is packed with amazing events, but the Messiah Smash League has another Smash tournament on Friday from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. This is a fun and competitive environment for anyone who wants to try something new and have fun. If you try it once, you won't regret it. Bingo! Sustainability is hosting a bingo night from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on Friday in Murray Library. Play for cool prizes. Claim your spot as there is limited number of spots. After a long week of some pretty exciting events, the SAB is hosting a film called Just Mercy in Parmer Cinema at 4 p.m. and at 8 p.m. This is a great way to wind down the week and enjoy some quality time with friends. Also on Saturday, check out the musical cabaret Shoeless Joe in Climahinga at 8 p.m. There will be another performance of the cabaret on Sunday at 5 p.m. Come on out and support the student performers as they put on a show for us. Thank you for watching, and let's make this a fun week, Messiah. For YBTV, I'm Danny Johnson.
Thanks, Danny. Next up, Caleb and Brandon bring you sports.
We'll be right back after the break.
I grew up creative, always drawing. Legos, played a ton of Legos from the time I could start putting them together. When I got into school, I thought I was going to be a painter, and then I thought I was going to be a graphic designer, but it wasn't until I took my first foundations of art class, 3D design, where I was carving a salt block, just a little carpenter chisel, and I stuck it underneath the water, and it kind of started deteriorating, and I loved it, and it felt comfortable, and it felt right, and that's when I realized that 3D is where I belong. Sculpture is what I needed to pursue. If you feel that passion in your belly, if you wake up and you got to make something, if you grab a paper clip and you manipulate it into some form, or you're doodling in your sketchbook, or everything you do you see through a more creative side, then listen to that spirit talking in you and follow it. And for that young artist, it's hard and it's difficult, but you got to just keep on doing it. You got to just keep on doing it. We were all there. We want to hang out with you. We want you to look over our shoulder and watch us cut this piece. Ask us that question. Don't be scared. Everybody has that starting point.
Welcome back to Falcon Update and YBTV Sports. I'm Brandon Cruz.
And I'm Caleb Kukin, here to bring you highlights and stories from this past week in Messiah sports. The men's volleyball team took a trip out to Springfield, Ohio, and went 4-0 against Mount Union, Mount St. Joseph, Aurora, and the top-ranked Carthage Firebirds. The Falcons extinguished the Firebirds with a 3-0 sweep, all thanks to Mason Nisley, who had 24 kills and a .525 hitting percentage against Carthage.
Men's and women's swimming both performed well on senior night. The men's team took down both Misericordia and Albright, but the men's team didn't stop there, as after the meet, the Falcons swam a time trial in the 200 medley relay and set a new pool record. The women's team lost to Misericordia and beat Albright to end their fantastic season with a record of 11-2. Both teams are now preparing for the MAC championships in early February.
Now, Brandon, we're going to move across the hall from the swimming pool to the basketball court, where the Messiah women's basketball team has been playing great basketball as of late. The team only had one freshman come into the new class, Charlotte Milanese, younger sister of junior guard Chloe Milanese. The sisters have discovered that the basketball team has helped them grow closer to God and each other.
I think getting to play with her, it's like you always have somebody that you know is always in your corner. You know, you always had an extra buddy to go work out with. You always had somebody who you could compete against. Growing up, there was a lot of competition between us, and so there's ways where I can help Charlotte out and have her grow in the collegiate level, and there's ways that she still pushes me, even just as a freshman.
I think it's just super fun to get to play with someone that you've grown up with your whole life. When she left for college and I had those 2 years in high school without her, I just missed like my teammate on the court. Like it just felt like pieces missing.
Success for the Milaneses and the rest of the Messiah women's basketball team isn't just about winning.
Every game is another opportunity to play for something bigger than just what the world would deem as successful. Success in our eyes reaches further than if we win games. It reaches to how we demonstrate the love of God to our opponents, as well as how well we can execute because we're playing for the glory of God. At the end of the day, everyone in this program points you back to who your true identity is. You're a daughter of a king first, and everyone in the program looks on you as that. And then because of that, you're now able to be the best you can be every day. Not only are we sisters from the team perspective, but also we're sisters outside of the team. So it's like this double whammy.
So I feel like it just makes us closer, and just like knowing that I can go to her for anything, whether it's basketball or school or just like life in general. And
Yeah, I don't think we nearly fight as much.
No,
as
we
don't fight as much,
which is weird because we spend more time. Like we have a good balance between like sister and teammate.
For YBTV, I'm Caleb Kukin.
Staying on the topic of the women's basketball team, it's time to move on to the Falcon Four. Our first highlight comes from the game against Albright, where Chloe Milanese gets it started with some fancy footwork. Here's Morgan Adams driving into the basket, and she kicks it out to Milanese, pump fake, and look at little shake and bake move there from Milanese as she gets the easy layup. Here it is again. What a fake. Had the defender lost and confused, and Milanese puts that one up for the Falcons. Now, that's not the only highlight we'll see from the women's basketball team, and trust me, you won't want to miss the next one.
I'm staying in Hitchcock Arena as the men's basketball team squared off against Albright, looking to end their losing streak. Time winding down in the first half, Albright to start will take and make a three, but that is not the highlight. Falcons looking to push, gets it to Evan Parker, the sharpshooter, who will take and eventually make an off-balance buzzer-beating three. That was his sixth, count them, sixth three-pointer of the first half alone, as we'll see it again right here. Evan Parker, quick release, off balance, nothing but the bottom. And that buzzer beater was just one of the seven three-pointers Parker hit that night.
Yeah, pretty crazy night for Evan Parker. And he's been playing some really great basketball lately. And speaking of good basketball, it's time to check out this defensive play from Morgan Adams in the second quarter against Albright. Here's Albright trying to push the ball up the court. And here's Morgan Adams, and she's having none of that right there. Great block from Morgan Adams. We have to take a look at this again. Morgan Adams, she almost sends that thing out of the bleachers. Great defensive play from the junior there. The Falcons improved to 11-0 in conference play after a dominating 55-41 victory over the Albright Lions. The Falcons head down to Frederick, Maryland to face off against Hood next Saturday with the hopes of keeping the undefeated against the MAC Commonwealth opponents.
For the final play of this week's Falcon 4, let's go to the second half of the men's basketball game against Albright, where they are stuck in a back-and-forth game but are looking to break it open. About halfway through the second half here, Albright looking to push, but great hands by Arkeys Claiborne, and the Falcons looking to push. Claiborne gets it up to Bryce Coletti, who's a very good finisher, drives, floats it up and over the Albright defender. Beautiful little floater there by Coletti. Like I said, very good finisher. Way to get it right over the top there. And Messiah, they look to push at the end of this game, and the Falcons wouldn't look back, beating the Lions 73-69, ending their 5-game losing streak. Like the women's team, the men's team will be at Hood this Saturday, looking to build off this exciting victory.
Exciting indeed, Brandon. Well, that does it for this week's Falcon 4 and YBTV Sports. Thank you again for watching Falcon Update, but don't go anywhere because right after the break is YB Tonight, so keep it right here on YBTV.
We don't want our students to feel like they have to wait until they've graduated to start serving and meeting the needs of society. So we want students to have an opportunity to work on projects that meet real needs even while they're students in the program. Messiah students are exciting to work with because they understand that God has uniquely gifted them to do something, and they're excited to follow Him in that and to follow Him in their careers.
One of my best moments as a student here at Messiah was when I was traveling to Mexico with a collaboratory.
The collaboratory's business model is that it pairs student teams with either faculty mentors or outside professionals to work on systems that either care for the earth or help disadvantaged people around the world.
I learned so many amazing things about just cultural differences and how to adapt and work alongside, not just how to help someone else, but how to empower them to further their lives and also advance my academics in the process. So that is by far one of my favorite memories from Messiah.
Forests bring people together, feed the soul, and improve our well-being, cleaning the water we need, the air we breathe, and making our climate livable. Fires and natural disasters devastate our forests each year. That's why the Arbor Day Foundation is working to replant millions of trees across the country. Visit arborday.org and see how you can help.
Good evening and welcome to YB Tonight Live. I'm your host, Reed Milliken. Tonight we'll have a feature on Patricia Colon, a professor right here at Messiah. She's going to talk to us about her earring business. Then, after that, we'll have an interview with Matt Featherson about student ministries. Stay with us. We'll be right back to YB Tonight Live. Before we move on with the show, I'm going to take a quick second to introduce a new segment. We're going to explore things on and off campus. Let's see what's in store for us this week.
Hi, I'm Jessica Fannin, and I'm currently at Ski Roundtop. Something that plenty of the students at Messiah like to do on the weekends is go skiing and snowboarding. Let's check it out.
And I'm a junior at Messiah, and I'm a ski instructor at Ski Roundtop. We're going to ski down, and I want to see some turns down to the bottom. Because my dad has been teaching for so long, I just figured I would kind of follow in his footsteps. And I started teaching a few years ago when I was in high school, and now I'm teaching here since it's so close to Messiah, so it's been a really cool experience. I love skiing. I've been skiing my whole life, so I think just being able to share my love of skiing with kids and adults, it's really incredible. And the environment here is so great. I really love my other instructors, and we've all become really good friends. Just being able to make friendships that I can keep forever and be able to.
As you can see, skiing and snowboarding looks like a fun activity to do with your friends on the weekend. Whenever you get the chance, come on out.
Thanks, Jess. But don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with YB Tonight.
A student would want to study the finance major here at Messiah for several reasons. Students here are working and practicing in a setting in our finance lab with technology that they're going to use when they leave here and work in the field. And so our students are certified in Bloomberg. In addition, in several classes, our students are actually performing consulting projects with local financial and investing firms.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me about coming for the finance major here was just the scope that you get in all the different classes. So anything from corporate finance to portfolio management, security analysis, you touch on everything. Getting into investment club was something I really was looking forward to coming here to Messiah. I knew from very early on I wanted to get involved.
There's nothing wrong with going out, being successful, making money, but not allowing money to have a higher place in your life than God. So our goal is to get our students started off on their career path quicker and better positioned than any of their peers.
Oh, hi. I suppose you're wondering what an A-list celebrity like me is doing in a place like this. You must know, I'm saving the world. Oh, hi, Beth. Yep, saving the world again. Did you know that 40% of all the food produced in the United States is thrown away? That means everything that went into that food, the pesticides, the water, the land, was all for nothing. Just look at this perfectly good food thrown in the trash. The pizza with extra Cheerios, these goldfish and Band-Aid tacos. And just look at this perfect trash burger. This pasta dog looks delicious.
You don't have to dumpster dive like Ed Begley Jr. to save the planet. Fight food waste by shopping smart and using what you buy before it gets trashed.
That's way better. Ooh, arugula.
Do your part and find out other world-saving tips at betterthaned.org.
Welcome back to YB Tonight. I'm Reed Milliken, and I'm joined by Matt Featherson, who is the Student Chapel Director of Student Ministries. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell me about Student Ministries.
Yeah, Student Ministries is it's awesome, bias aside, but it's a place where we can foster the different students on campus to grow in our faith, disciple one another, and worship one another.
All right, and what are your responsibilities?
I am the Student Chapel Director for Student Ministries, which is the new position I stepped into last fall. Originally, I was a part of the men's ministry mentors, but for student chapel directing, I'm like in charge of 5 chapels during each semester on Thursday that happen from 9:30 to 10:15.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, what's the difference for those who don't know? What's the difference between student ministries and campus ministries?
Yeah, that's a really good question because people come to me and are like, "What's about Tuesday chapel? What about 4x4s?" And I'm like, "I'm not really a part of that." But student ministries and campus ministries, it's basically like student ministry is ran by specifically students in general, and then campus ministry is ran by like Doug Curry, Mina, and Emily Bingham. And so they do a lot of the Tuesday chapel work and stuff.
Gotcha. What got you into this? What got you into it?
Yeah, so my freshman year was a really interesting one. It was actually the COVID year. And I had a lot of really good friends who were part of student ministries, and I just became really close with them. And I asked them like what things they are a part of and whatnot. And they were like, student ministries. And I was like, what's that? And they were like, we can show you all these different ministries. So like, I went to this Tuesday night worship, which is called Altar. And that's how I got acclimated to student ministries and stuff like that. And so through that, I applied. And I'm here now. So
did you start in the position that you're at now, or was it something that you worked up towards?
Yeah, so I actually was a men's ministry mentor last year, and that's like through that I got to know a lot of different people through Student Min, and I reapplied for a different position last year, and that's why I ended up as Student Chapel Director.
Gotcha. Okay. What's your major? Is it in this realm? Is it student ministries?
No. It's funny enough because people come up to me and are like, "Are you a Christian ministry major?" I'm like, "I'm actually not. I'm actually a comm major."
Oh, okay.
So
Me
like,
too.
yeah. So I actually had a lot of communication classes, excluding news writing with Dr. Ark. So
Gotcha.
a lot of this right now
Yeah.
is actually I learned a little bit. So.
Nice. Yeah, I'm taking that now. I love that class.
Yeah, that's a good one.
How would you say that running student ministries has impacted your experience here at Messiah?
Yeah, I would say that that it really got me acclimated to campus a lot. Through it, I met a lot of different people, and I made a lot of really good friends. And because of that, I grew in my faith a lot. I got more confident in expressing that and talking to different people and having those different conversations. And through that, like it made me really comfortable with talking to different people on campus, and then also advertising them about joining student ministries. Obviously, I love it, so like I'm going to tell anyone to join it. But even through that, I got to learn about other people's clubs and whatnot, and what they're involved in and fellowship through that way. So it's been really, really good.
Gotcha. That's good. If someone wanted to join, similar to how you have, how would they go about doing that?
Yes, which is a great question. It's very timely too because our hiring email just got sent out last week, and so now we're in the process of hiring different people for next year. And we're having a lot of people in student ministry now are seniors, so they're going to be graduating this upcoming year. So we could really use a lot of new people to come into the team.
Gotcha. Yeah. So read your emails, folks. I know a lot of you probably skip over, just like me. Keep it going. How does student ministries impact the community here at Messiah?
Yeah, so Messiah University, obviously it's a Christian school, and so obviously you're going to get a little bit of that Christian faith aspect just by being here. But I think it's really important that we have like students foster community where we're focusing hosting faith-related spaces. And through that we have different Bible studies, and obviously like out in the chapel team we have 5 chapels hosted by our team. And then we also have different activities and even biblically related discussions that people can come to and ask questions about their faith and whatnot through Sanctuary. So I think it's important that like us students are also take part of like leading different faith discussions and whatnot on campus.
Right. Yeah, that's great. So I remember seeing a couple of your guys' chapels last semester and the semesters prior. Do they write down specifically when we know that it's going to be a chapel run by you guys?
Yes. So at the top of my head, I could think February 2nd, which is this Thursday, will be our first one of the semester, and then February 16th, and then March 2nd, and the 20th, then March 30th, then April 20th.
Okay. Are you going to be speaking at all those?
I will be speaking at February 16th.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Mark that down on the calendar.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So what's been your favorite part about being a part of all this?
Yeah. It's hard to boil down to just one, but I think my favorite part definitely has to be the people I met and just growing in fellowship and faith with them, they have been really awesome and encouraging me and helping me out a lot with my own faith. But then also, like, I think with me, like, being a part of student ministries, it has allowed me to really be confident and be more expressive and be open about my faith and what I do and how I go about that. And so the Lord has really, put me in this position to where I can, be myself in that and grow and continue to fellowship with others and help them out on their own faith as well.
And those are all great skills to have at any college, but, especially one here. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure. And it's like, again, like, we go to a Christian school, so you're going to get that faith aspect anyway. But I think, like, actively putting yourself a part of that is really going to be helpful for anyone who joins student ministries, and myself included. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So you talked about some of the chapels you guys are going to be running up ahead. Do you play a part in any of the regular chapels as well, or is it pretty much you guys stick to just the ones that you run?
Yeah, so disclaimer, I actually do not do any of the Tuesday chapels, and I only do 5 Thursday. I get a lot of questions be like, hey, are you doing the Tuesday chapels? And I'm like, I have nothing to do with that. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Matthew, it has been great talking to you. Yeah, it's been nice to just sit down. We've talked about a lot of different ways that people can get involved, a lot of the different ways that people can come and see and support the things that you guys do. Is there anything last that you want to just say to the audience real quick?
Join Student Men. Check your email.
Yeah, check your emails. All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of YB Tonight. Thank you for watching YBTV. And we'll be back right after this break to talk to an earring specialist, Patricia Colon. Sorry. Thank you.
My name is Curtis Seaman. I'm a senior journalism major. So my entire life, I've really enjoyed writing, really enjoyed sports. I thought that if I could get into sports journalism would be the perfect major for me. I feel very prepared for post-graduation with practicum. That's been a huge help. You have to participate in 3 different mediums of communication, media, throughout the class period. And to be able to do things like radio and television and writing has just kind of really helped to broaden my horizons. And in terms of writing, I'm also excited to use all of those skills that I've learned as well. Obviously, the professors here in the communication department are fantastic, and they really know how to get you to drill down and get you to write the best that you possibly can. In the senior sem, Dr. Dixon prays before every class, and a lot of other professors do that. To be able to pray in class, to be able to talk about faith-based things, is just huge, and I really have appreciated that all 4 of my years here at Messiah. So right now I'm interning at WGAL 8 in Lancaster, which is just a TV station, NBC affiliate. The hours are a little rough. They're from 4 in the morning until noon, but that's also been a look ahead of what it's going to be like in my career in the future, so that's been also a good experience. For MC77, my sophomore year was the first year I did. I started on camera, I moved to floor manager. I've done everything from camera to producing, executive producing, anchoring, VTR, audio. You can do pretty much any role. They're more than willing to give you the chance to make mistakes, but also to learn, because the time is now to make mistakes before you go out and are working for a real television station. MC77 has definitely given me a ton of great experience and prepared me for what's to come with that, and I'm excited to use that more within bigger TV stations and more live television day in and day out.
Back to YB Tonight Live. I'm your host, Reed Milliken. Tonight I'm talking to Professor Colon, who is an earring who has started an earring business. Professor Colon, tell us a little bit about that.
I was
buying a lot of earrings made by other people,
Gotcha.
handmade polymer clay earrings.
Okay.
And I thought that my husband would be a little upset if he found out how much money I was spending on them. So I thought I would start to learn how to make them. And then I was
Nice.
really obsessed with watching little YouTube reels of the process. And so it just
Gotcha.
kind of started.
Very fun. And so are the earrings that you're wearing now
Yeah.
ones that you've created?
They are.
Awesome. Very cool. And if people want to find the earrings that you make, where would they find that?
CologneCreations.com.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so you talked a little bit about what made you want to start an earring business, but where was like you talked about how you kind of, wanted to start to make a profit from this hobby. Tell us a little bit about starting the store. Like what were your first sales like? Was that exciting to kind of start it and get into it?
At first, I was just making them for myself, and then my mom kind of said, I would wear one of those, and my sister said, I would wear that, and my cousin said, I would wear that.
Right.
And so I just gave them earrings, and then, other family and friends started to say, like, oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, I want to buy one. And
Right.
I actually already had an Etsy shop at that
Oh, okay.
time.
Cool.
So I put a few on there, and then I started doing shows, and it just kind of like took off.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so are all of the earring making process, is it all the same, or is it like, do you use the same material for everything?
Yes and no. There are definitely different techniques. You can like use acrylic paint and a silk screen and make a pattern that way. There's different ways to, mix the clay together. There's translucent ones with alcohol ink. You could texture it. So there are a lot of different materials that I could use to produce different looking earrings.
Gotcha. And so what's your inspiration? Is it kind of just like you sit down, you just kind of start at it and just whatever happens, happens, or where's your inspiration come from?
Sometimes I'm inspired by the holiday.
Okay.
Like Valentine, I've made a lot of Valentine's Day
Right,
stuff
the
right
ones
now.
you're wearing now, yes.
Sometimes a cutter that I buy, so that, like a cookie cutter, there are cutters for clay.
Okay.
Sometimes I would just see colors together, either like in nature or somewhere, and say, oh, well, I really want to make, yellow and gold earrings, or,
Right.
and I just kind of go from there.
That's cool, yeah. It's kind of cool how creativity can kind of strike you in different ways. You can just
Yeah.
be going about your day and suddenly that hobby kind of just, pokes itself in,
Yes.
get inspired, yeah.
Mhm.
So how long does it typically take you to make a set of earrings?
So I usually make a whole bunch at once from a slab, but I just hosted my first like private party the other night, kind of like a paint night, but you get together, everyone gets to make and keep 2 pairs of earrings. And walking everyone through the steps for the first time, I mean, it was 4 hours altogether. An hour of that is just baking the clay, but you have to, like mix it and then cut it, bake it, and then once it's done, you have to sand it and drill it and assemble it. So, I mean, yeah, it takes a while.
Takes a while,
Yeah.
yeah. Pays off though, yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So you have started this business. Did you go to school for business, or is it something that you kind of picked up along the way?
Nope. I went here to Messiah. I was a math ed major. I taught middle school math for, 8 years, and then I became a stay-at-home mom, came on here as an adjunct professor, and then thought, this ended up being something I really enjoy doing. And so I have to watch myself because I don't want to lose the fun and the joy that I have out of doing it when I kind of put pressure on myself from like the business aspect of like,
Right.
I need to make more sales. I need to
Right.
post
It's not
more on
just a hobby
Instagram.
anymore. Right. Yeah.
So I try to, be mindful of that balance because I don't want it to just become work.
Right. Has it felt like work yet, or is it still fun?
There are times where I've had to check myself and,
Right.
Just calm down, like
Right,
on
yeah, yeah.
vacation, not take stuff with me to do.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah. Do you ever do it just for hobby as well, or has it kind of just become the business now, or do you still make some just for fun?
No, I would say I always make them for fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you learned anything else from running the business?
From a personal standpoint, I've always been kind of a left-brained, analytical, systematic sort of thinker.
Right. You went for math. Right?
Yes, and so I've never really identified as a creative person, and I've actually had a lot of like spiritual parallels between like having an idea in my head and then it comes out like not as I intended and sort of being frustrated with that, but then learning to see like the beauty in that. And then from a business standpoint, I would say, it's hard work. It's a lot of consistency, and you just got to keep pushing, even when there's like a week that goes by and there aren't any sales, and you just
Right.
you need to be yourself and bring something authentic to the table. I think you don't want to copy anybody else
Right.
because that's not unique.
Right. Yeah. I think that's applicable to most things in life. I liked what you said about finding beauty in imperfection. That's definitely applicable to a lot. I think this show in particular. But yeah. So what advice would you have for someone who wants to not start an earring business, but just any business in general for maybe a hobby or a side activity that they have?
I would say don't throw all your money into it in
Okay.
case it doesn't work out. And sort of be prepared for, not for failure in that you would just give up, but when things don't go as you might have imagined, just keep pushing through. I really think that's a life lesson too, not just business. But yeah, just
Yeah, I feel that.
keep going.
Yeah. So do you think you're still pushing through, or have you reached what you're hoping to achieve with the business?
That's a great question because I don't know what I'm hoping to achieve. I want to enjoy what I'm doing.
Right.
And, I get to spend time kind of away from my kids, just in my thoughts, listening to my audiobooks while I do it. So I'm still doing all those things.
Right.
Would I like to make more money? Absolutely. But that's also not like the point.
Right.
It's just to kind of enjoy and connect with people. And I also really try to make it a point to like lift women up. I send like a personalized note every time someone makes a purchase and things like that. So
Yeah.
I just
cool.
want to stay focused on those things and see
Yeah.
where it goes.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, part of the fun is the journey, right? It's
Yeah.
not just the destination. And
Yeah.
there can be success in the journey.
Mhm.
Reaching the destination doesn't have to be the only success that you find.
Exactly.
But yeah, would you say that you've learned anything about yourself while creating the earrings and starting the business?
I kind of feel like I can do anything. When I was in school, I thought I had to have the right degree to get the right job, to have the right timeline to meet the husband and have the kids all like, and now I just kind of feel like if I want to make earrings today, I'm going to make earrings. If next year I want to, go work in the business field, I'm going to go do that.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of feel.
Yeah, powerful.
Yeah, I do,
That's the fun in being your own
Yeah.
boss, right? Is you kind of just get to do what you want when
Yeah.
you want and be successful with it. That's
Right.
fun. Yeah. Have you grown to the point where do you have other people making earrings with you, or is it still just you running?
No,
every
it's just
aspect?
me.
Okay.
I mean, my mom and my sister will come do shows with me, especially when they're like 12 hours long, even 4 hours long. It's a lot to like unload the car and, kind of do everything by yourself.
Right.
And every once in a while, I'll have like a teenage cousin over and I'll say, do you want to put backs on earrings for me? And we can just chat.
Right.
Or something like that. But
Yeah.
no, the only person I've ever hired has done content for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, if they want to find that content, where would they
Yes,
find it?
it is, my Instagram handle is @cologne_creations.co.
Okay. And then you have a website as well, which
Yep,
you said
my
earlier.
website is colognecreations.com,
colognecreations.com.
and my
Awesome.
link is in the bio as well.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out
Yeah,
and
thanks for
joining us,
having me.
Professor Coolin.
This was
Yeah.
fun.
After the break, actually, no more break. We're going to be done for the night. Thank you very much for watching YB Tonight, everyone. Please join us next week. We do a live stream every Friday night, and it looks like they cut to the credits. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great week.